Hello, it's Ruby, and today I'm going to be running through some things that you should do before 2019. Obviously, these are not all things that you have to do, but there are things that I think will hopefully make your 2019 happier and more productive. Help you to prioritize the things which are most important. Prioritizing is something really difficult for us all to do. The world is so busy and it's so easy for us to get caught up with just one specific thing. In Dickens's A Christmas Carol, there's this passage where Marley comments on how him and Scrooge decided to focus on one thing in particular, which was profit and which was work, and as a result lots of other things which previously were important in their lives were disregarded, and that's not something any of us want to do. I mean, there's a reason that we don't like Scrooge. Hopefully these things are going to help to set off the new year on a great foot and help you to have the best 2019 that you can have, and ultimately the one that we all deserve. If you haven't seen me before, if this is the first video of mine that you've watched, hi, my name is Ruby, I'm 18 years old and I'm currently a first year studying at the University of Exeter. And so the first thing that you can do is digitally declutter. So I would recommend going through your laptop, going through your phone, going through your tablet and getting rid of any unnecessary files. Especially at this time in the academic year, our organisation systems, which we have put in place at the beginning, can often start to run down a little bit. At the beginning of the year, we don't really realise how many folders we need, and so we just make files and we just kind of save them to desktop, and then our desktop becomes all crowded and it's awful. But this is the best time to just go through all of these files, get rid of those that we don't need, start labelling every file as we go along, and start organising as we go along. Files which you don't really need anymore but you don't want to get rid of, put on an external hard drive because it's going to stop your laptop processor from clogging up too much and becoming too slow. It's more minimalist and it's easier to work with. On your phone, go through photos, go through apps that you don't really use anymore, and also think about the kind of apps that you want to have on your phone. I'm guilty of this too. On my tablet I have some games and it's really bad because I shouldn't have games on there, literally allowing myself to be distracted by something. So eliminate those procrastinatory tools from the beginning and delete those apps when you go through your phone or tablet. Now the second thing is to declutter physically. So go through your room, go through your wardrobe and think about the things that you just aren't really using anymore. I'm not going to go into too much depth about decluttering because I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I would recommend reading The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which is a really great book on this subject and which might be able to help you if you're not really sure where to start with decluttering. But before the new year starts is a pretty good time to get started with this. The third thing which you can do is make schedules. So I spoke about this in my video on things that you can get organised in the new year. So for example, exercise, thinking about times that you want to perhaps spend time reading or doing another kind of productive task, sleep schedules, that kind of thing. The fourth thing is going through your calendar and just putting in all of the things which you already know are going to come up. So I say calendar, it could be a diary as well. Just go through and write down all of the key events that you know are going to come up. The fifth thing is to reflect on the things which have really drained your time in the last year. So where has all of that free time gone? Are you spending it playing a particular video game or on a particular app? Are you spending it just browsing through YouTube? Are you spending too much time sleeping? You know, go through and just think about where all that free time is going. And then you can reflect upon whether you want to utilise your free time in this way or whether you want to find another use for this free time. Still something enjoyable, but maybe something which makes you feel happier. It's just important to reflect upon. Maybe you want to keep this exactly how it is. Maybe it makes you very happy, but at the same time, maybe you don't. So I think it's just important to reflect on this at the end of the year. The sixth thing is making a list of the things that you really want to do in the next year. So do you want to make 10 new friends? Do you want to learn how to do the splits? Get a promotion at work? Make a list of these things because it makes it more attainable. Number 7 is leading on from that, which is to make goals for yourself. And I think this is different to things you want to do, because things you want to do focuses on something that you can just tick. Whereas I think goals are more ongoing, and it's more to do with when I talk about goals, I talk more about how I want to change myself and how I want to kind of begin to evolve and develop the way that I think about myself and the way that I act. And there are 2 things I can recommend on this front, but it's something I'm going to expand upon in a future video, which will be entitled Making Yourself the Person You Want to Be. But there are 2 things I just want to mention that might be useful if you don't want to go watch that video and you just want to stay here, is writing down 10 adjectives that you would love for people to use when describing you. These are the things that you really want to be. You know, this is things like, I want people to think I'm funny, or maybe not funny because sometimes you're just funny naturally, but I want people to think that I'm kind. I want people to think that I'm dedicated. And making a list of these things is really important, because it gives you something to strive towards, and it reminds you of the kind of person you want to be. And also thinking about why you want to be these things. That reflection is really important. The 8th thing is something which might sound a tiny bit controversial, I'm not sure. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing this, is writing a list of all of the people in your life that you think are really important and the people you want to continue to spend time with in the coming year. And this doesn't mean that you're going to cut out people. You know, the intention here is not to say, oh well, this person's not on my list, I'm never going to be nice to them, I'm never going to talk to them. It's just reflecting on the people that you really care about and the people you want to continue to see regularly and keep up connections with in the coming year. The 9th thing is reflecting upon your career aspirations. So making a list, this is very similar to things you want to do, but making a list of things that you want to do within your workplace or within school or within university, and thinking about where you want to be at the end of this year in terms of your job, in terms of school. So what grades do you want to be getting? The 10th thing is writing letters or phoning people. Don't text, don't email. I think it can be quite impersonal, and that's not really what the aim here with this next thing is. So it's establishing personal connections. It leads on from that idea of having a friend list, reaching out to those people that maybe were on your friend list but who you haven't really spoken to this year, and reaching out, writing them a letter. Or perhaps if there's somebody that you've fallen out with this year, that might be a family member, that might be a friend, and writing a letter to them. That maybe could be done through an email actually, kind of saying sorry and saying, you know, can we please put this behind us? There's a great children's book. It's called Gregory and the Grim Buckle by Melanie Schubert. It's basically teaching children the importance of having connections between people and how important these connections are when they're strong. They're called exudals. I think it's important for us to just make sure that our exudals are all intact, and making sure that we don't have any ones which are really starting to thin, and just making sure that we can refurbish these. Now the 11th thing is looking at meals and looking at food. One thing which I think would be very useful to do before the end of the year is making a booklet of your favourite meals. But you might want to do this digitally, you might want to print them all out and bind them up or put them in a display wallet, and separate these into easy, medium, hard. So easy would be ingredients that you probably will have in the house and something that doesn't take very long, and then hard would be, you know, the complete opposite of that. I don't really have to explain it. But this just means that when you're in a rush, you're not going to go for that really easy instant or microwavable meal. You're going to kind of have a recipe there already, and you don't have to spend time thinking about what to eat. You can, in a worst case scenario, just flick to this page, an easy recipe, and go, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to make today. And that's just really nice to have, because I waste so much time just thinking, oh, what am I going to have for dinner? And then like making a big deal of it, and then I waste too much time. So I think this is very useful to do. The 12th thing is cleaning. Just having a massive spring clean of your room or house and getting everything clean so that you can go into the new year and not have to, on the 1st of January, start doing loads of cleaning. The 13th thing is to make a budget tracker. So I use Excel for mine. It's really easy to do, and I am planning on making a video on how to budget. But not only making this ready for January, but also using this tracker that you've made to go through your December expenses, because looking and reflecting upon what you spent in December and then thinking about equally your goals in terms of budgeting for January is just quite nice to have that comparison. I always find with budgeting it's good to be able to reflect upon what last month was like. And then the 14th thing is to make 2 lists, and these are 2 very important lists. Now the first list is one that I have used for a very long time. I've been making this list every year or every term for about five years maybe, and that's making a list of productive things that you can do when you're bored, things which make you happy. It basically means that if you've got nothing to do, you're still going to be productive and you're still going to feel happy and still feel like you have made the most out of your day. There's nothing worse than looking back on your day and realizing that you spent the whole day watching TV or watching YouTube. Yeah, so that is really good. And then I guarantee you'll use this during the year. Just keep it somewhere where you're always going to be able to find it, so on your desk or in a drawer or something, so that you're not having to look for it, because that's not ideal. And then the second list is one that I haven't actually made ever before, but I'm going to be making this year, which is making a list of MeTime activities and putting aside that time for self-care. So my friend Bella is very big on this. She really started to make this a focus right before A-levels started. But I think it would be very useful to have a list of things that you know you can relax into and things that you know will help to recuperate you. So for example, with me, I love reading, and so top of that list is going to be reading or watching a Harry Potter film or having a bath. And it's just things that you know are going to recuperate you, and it's going to be very different for every single person. And it acts as a reminder, if you can keep it pinned up somewhere in your room, that you do need to give that time to yourself to recuperate. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry it's quite long, but I really hope that it is useful, and I hope that it helps you to have the most productive and happy and successful 2019 possible. So thank you again for watching, and I hope that you have a productive week.